They always spoke with smiles stretched just a little too wide. "You're so humble," Sharon once told me, eyes scanning the sleeves of my H&M blouse. "Lucas always did like grounded girls." Grounded. That was her word for poor. I never corrected her, not when she assumed my parents were teachers from some working-class suburb, not when she referred to my old Toyota as your little car, not even when she gifted me a cookbook titled Budget Dinners for the Modern Wife. I said nothing. I smiled, nodded, poured her another glass of wine, and went home seething. "My name is Katie Monroe. Well, Ashcroft now. I married Lucas 3 years ago, after meeting him through mutual friends at a fundraiser. We hit it off quickly. Same taste in music, same dry humor, both children of small private schools, and too many extracurriculars." What Lucas didn't realize at the time was that while his family had the appearance of wealth, mine actually had it. We just didn't wear it like cologne. My father, Edward Monroe, built a tech security firm from his college dorm room and sold it before I graduated from New York University. My mother's on the board of 3 nonprofits and keeps our family office running like a Swiss watch. They taught me never to flaunt money. "Real wealth," my mother always said, "doesn't shout. It signs the check quietly and walks away." When Lucas asked me to be a stay-at-home wife just for a year, I agreed. He said he wanted a different life from his parents, something grounded, safe, loving. I didn't realize that meant stepping into a life where his family would treat me like charity they regretted sponsoring. The first year, things were fine. Lucas worked for a private logistics firm unaffiliated with his family. I ran the household. I didn't mind it. I even enjoyed it. I cooked, redecorated, volunteered at the library, and kept my head down. We saw his family occasionally. His mother, Sharon, asked polite but loaded questions. His sister, Allison, treated me like her personal assistant. "You're free all day, right?" she once said while handing me her dry cleaning slip. I didn't complain, but after the first year, the tone shifted. They started hinting about kids, about Lucas taking over the family company, Ashcroft Freight and Supply Co., a third-generation business teetering on irrelevance. Sharon wanted a proper heir, someone to modernize the brand. Lucas kept declining. He liked his job and didn't want to play CEO for a company running on fumes and arrogance. They blamed me. "Lucas used to be so driven," Sharon sighed one day, pretending not to look at me. "He's different now. More passive. Maybe it's domestic life." "I'm sure Katie means well," Allison added, "but maybe she just doesn't understand what's at stake." I stayed silent. Every time I visited their estate, I felt like a guest actor in a badly written sitcom, one where the laugh track was just them smirking behind their wine glasses. Eventually, I stopped going. For the past 2 Christmases, I returned to my parents' estate in New Hampshire. Lucas came with me once, but last year he stayed behind, claiming work stress. Sharon didn't mind. "It's probably for the best," she said. "Our guests tend to expect a certain standard." She meant me. I wasn't the right kind of wife for Showtime. That's why, when my phone rang on a cold Tuesday morning in early December and her name appeared, I nearly laughed. I answered anyway. "Habit, maybe." "Katie," Sharon chirped. "How lovely to hear your voice." We've been thinking. It's time you rejoin us for Christmas." I blinked. "Seriously?" "Oh, yes. We're hosting a small gathering. Just family. A few business associates. Very relaxed. But it would mean a lot if you and Lucas came." "You've never invited me before." She chuckled. "Well, things change. It's time to present a united front. Besides, I think it would be good for Lucas. There's some interest in him stepping up." There it was. "And you want me there as what? A decoration? A prop?" "Katie," she said sweetly, "don't be dramatic. Just wear something festive. Red suits you. You looked lovely that Christmas you wore that little knit sweater." My jaw clenched. I hung up after muttering, "We'll see." That night, Lucas came home late. His tie was loose, and his eyes looked heavy. I didn't wait long. "Your mother wants us to come for Christmas." He winced. I figured. "Why now? After all this time?" He hesitated. "Dad's business is in trouble. Bad trouble. They lost a few major contracts. The investors are getting nervous." "Because of his spending?" He nodded. "Partially. And some accounting irregularities. The board's pushing for a change in leadership. Someone new. Someone with a better reputation. I stared. She wants you. Only symbolically, he said quickly. She thinks if I show up looking stable and respectable, it'll calm everyone down. And she wants me there to… What? Hold your hand while you pretend to save the family empire? It's just one dinner. I looked at him, my husband, the man who once said he loved my quiet strength, the same man who stood by while his mother dragged me, year after year, without ever once stepping in. I'll go, I said, but I'm not doing this their way. He looked wary. Katie. No, they've spent 3 years calling me poor to my face, laughing at my clothes, whispering about my family background. Maybe it's time they met the real me. Lucas looked alarmed. Please don't do anything embarrassing, I finished. No worries. I'm going to give them exactly what they've always wanted. I pulled out my phone and scrolled to a saved number I hadn't used since our wedding. Mr. Graham? Hi, it's Katie Ashcroft. Yes, I'll need the Bentley next week. And the driver. Please have the car cleaned and polished. We're attending a family event. I hung up and looked at Lucas, whose face was pale. That car is… yours? I smiled. They think I married into money. Let's remind them what marrying up really looks like. The Bentley pulled up to the Ashcroft estate 5 minutes before call time. Their home looked exactly as I remembered, elegant, overgrown, and cold. White pillars, long gravel driveway, 2 fountains that hadn't worked since 2019. It was the kind of place that pretended to be grander than it actually was, like Sharon herself. I stepped out first. The air was sharp, pine-scented, and expensive in that curated suburban way. Lucas slid out after me, adjusting his cufflinks. He hadn't said much on the drive. Every time he opened his mouth, he seemed to think better of it. The driver handed me my coat, dark green cashmere with a structured collar, custom, discreetly branded. The front door swung open before we even reached the steps. And there she was, Sharon Ashcroft, in a cranberry red dress with shoulder pads that screamed 1986 and a pearl necklace that probably wasn't real. Her lips parted as she saw us. Her gaze landed on the car, then the driver, then me. A beat of silence. Then, well, she breathed, smile twitching. That's quite the arrival. Good evening, Sharon, I said. You look festive. Lucas murmured a greeting behind me. Sharon ignored him, still eyeing the Bentley like it might explode. You took Lucas's car? She asked lightly. I returned the smile. No, it's mine. Her eyes flickered. From inside, Allison's voice called out, Is that them? Are the peasants here? She appeared in the doorway moments later, drink in hand. Her blonde hair was aggressively curled, her heels impractical. She looked at me, then the car, then back again. Did someone die and leave you an oil field? Sharon cut in quickly. Come in, come in. We're just finishing hors d'oeuvres. We have guests arriving shortly. Don't mind Allison, she's had 2 spritzers. The main room had been decorated for show. Gold ribbons, real pine garlands, flickering candles in tall hurricane vases. I recognized 2 men near the fireplace from local business publications, minor league investors, but still relevant enough to impress Sharon. She leaned in close as we walked toward them. Please, Katie, she whispered. Let Lucas do the talking. Don't, how do I say this? Overcomplicate things. I turned to her with a tight-lipped smile. Wouldn't dream of it. Sharon ushered us in like royalty. Everyone, this is my son Lucas and his wife Katie. Lucas will be taking a more active role in our company next year, and we couldn't be prouder. Lucas gave a stiff nod. I kept my expression neutral. One of the men, Dale something, extended his hand. So you're the man of the hour. Lucas managed a half smile. That's what I'm told. I leaned in before Sharon could redirect. And you must be the investor willing to make the leap if the company gets its act together? Dale blinked. Sorry. Sharon let out a brittle laugh. Katie likes to joke. No joke, I said smoothly. We heard there was a financing opportunity if the company changed leadership. I assume one of you is the source of that optimism? The room went still. Dale looked at the other man. The other man shrugged. I don't know what you've been told, Dale said carefully. But we're not funding anything without a formal audit and a credible turnaround plan. I nodded. Right. That's what I thought. Sharon grabbed my elbow so fast I nearly dropped my clutch. Excuse us one moment, she hissed through her teeth and yanked me into the hallway. She slammed the door behind us. What the hell was that? I asked a question. You ambushed my guests. You lied to your son. Her face flushed. You think you're clever, don't you? I think I'm tired of pretending I don't understand what's happening. You're here because we allowed you here. I smiled. No, Sharon. I'm here because you needed me here. There's a difference. The door creaked open. Lucas peeked in. Is everything okay? Tell your wife to stop interfering, Sharon snapped. Lucas looked at me. Katie, can we not do this now? I walked past them both back into the room. The guests were sipping their drinks, trying to pretend they hadn't heard shouting. I clinked a glass gently. May I say something? Sharon stepped forward. Katie. But it was too late. I'd like to formally offer my support in helping restructure Ashcroft Freight and Supply. Effective immediately, I'll assume the role of interim CEO. The room froze. Sharon's mouth opened, closed, opened again. Lucas looked like he'd been slapped. You're not qualified, Sharon said flatly. I have a master's in finance, 10 years of corporate restructuring experience, and access to capital. I smiled wider. But sure, I'll let the investors decide if I'm qualified. One of the guests actually chuckled. I walked over to the sideboard and poured myself a drink. But I'll need full operational control. No shadow boards, no ceremonial titles, no interference. You mean you'll take over without taking on the debt? Allison sneered. I turned to her. You catch on quick. Lucas stepped forward. You'd really do this? You'd run the company? I met his eyes. If I'm doing this, I'm doing it my way. He hesitated. But it's still our family's company. No, Lucas. It's your parents' company. I'm just the one willing to pick up the pieces. He stared at me like he didn't recognize me anymore, which in a way was fair. Because the version of me that swallowed their snide remarks, their shallow cruelty, their backhanded gifts and whispered jokes, she was gone. Sharon's voice cut through the room. Fine, she said tightly. We'll draw up the paperwork tomorrow. You can have your little power trip. I drained my glass and set it down. Oh no, Sharon. This isn't a power trip. This is an audit. By noon the next day, I had the documents ready. It wasn't difficult. My family's attorney, Mitchell Graham, had them prepared overnight, clean, legal, and specific. Sharon skimmed the pages like someone glancing at a restaurant menu, already knowing what she planned to order. Lucas pretended to read. Allison played with her phone. No mention of debt assumption, Sharon muttered. I smiled politely. Because I'm not assuming any. Sharon raised an eyebrow. That's not how this works. It is when you're the one with leverage. She didn't argue. She just signed. So did Lucas. And Allison, despite not holding a real position, insisted on witnessing. The ink hadn't dried before Sharon leaned back and exhaled. Thank God. We can finally breathe. I didn't reply, because I wasn't here to help them breathe. 2 days later, I called my first staff meeting. I sat at the head of a long, battered conference table in a glassed-in room that overlooked the warehouse floor. Most of the employees looked exhausted. Some looked angry. A few looked openly surprised to see me sitting where Howard Ashcroft had ruled for decades. I introduced myself formally. Then I said the thing that truly got their attention. I'm not here to wear pearls and sip cocktails at fundraisers, I said. I'm here to clean house. That includes leadership roles that haven't had any functional purpose for years. If you've been paid to exist, not to work, you'll be reassigned or you'll be replaced. No one said a word, but several exchanged glances that screamed, finally. I continued. We'll be operating under a lean model. Bonuses will be tied to performance, not bloodlines. Company credit cards will be revoked and reissued under new policy. And yes, there will be an external audit. Voluntary this time. By the time I finished, the room was quiet. But it wasn't the same tension as before. It was a strange, unfamiliar calm, like they were waiting to see if this was real. As the meeting adjourned, one of the warehouse leads, Carl, I think, murmured to a colleague, "Maybe now this place has a shot." I heard it. I was meant to. Lucas cornered me in the parking lot that night. He looked tired. Not the kind of tired that comes from work, but from watching control slip through his fingers. "You made a spectacle," he said. I didn't stop walking. I made a company solvent. "You embarrassed my mother. She embarrassed herself." He grabbed my arm. Not hard, but firm. I turned to look at his hand. He let go. What's happening to you? He asked. I looked him in the eye. I stopped playing poor so your family could feel rich. That hit. He stared at me, speechless. You said you wanted stability, Lucas. I'm giving it to you. But I'm not doing it with my head down and my voice quiet. He shoved his hands in his pockets. You think you're better than us? No, I know I am. He stepped back like I'd slapped him. I didn't wait for more. I got in the car, closed the door, and told the driver to take me home. The final blow came a week later. I called a shareholders meeting. Legally symbolic, since I now held the executive power, but emotionally significant. I presented a financial summary. 3/4 of the operating loss stemmed from Sharon's and Allison's spending: designer consulting trips, luxury office redecorations, unauthorized bonuses. The numbers spoke for themselves. Then I handed out termination notices. Effective immediately, Sharon and Allison were stripped of all honorary roles, stipends, and access. They shrieked. You can't do this, Sharon gasped, standing up. I just did. We're family. No, I said. We were in-laws. You made it clear I was never one of you. Now I'm making it official. She turned to Lucas. Say something. Lucas didn't speak. He just stared at the table. That's when she snapped. You conniving little climber, she spat at me. We gave you everything. You gave me condescension and kitchen towels for Christmas, I said. In return, I saved your name from being dragged through court records. Allison was pacing, muttering. This is fraud. It's fraud, right? Can someone Google that? I stood, collected my folder, and nodded once to the room. You'll receive final instructions by email. Goodbye. Lucas showed up at my apartment the next day. He looked even more lost than before. You didn't have to go this far. I went exactly as far as I needed. He stepped inside, uninvited. I let him. One last time. You still have money? He said quietly. From your parents, right? I stared at him. He didn't look ashamed, just hopeful. You could help pay down the rest of the corporate debt, he said. Just until we recover. I mean, it's still your name on the CEO line. I laughed. It wasn't a kind sound. Get out. He blinked. Katie, I'm not your bailout. You said you wanted to fix the company. I did. It's fixed. And it's yours now. You're walking away? I handed him an envelope. Divorce papers, signed. My lawyer's expecting yours by Friday. You planned this. No, you planned to humiliate me. I just chose not to let you finish. He stood there, clutching the envelope like it was made of glass. You lied to me, he said. No, I replied. I just never corrected your assumption. He left. Didn't slam the door. Didn't look back. A month later, Sharon filed for bankruptcy. The house was foreclosed. Allison tried selling luxury consulting packages on Instagram. No one bought them. Ashcroft Freight and Supply, however, was operational. Trimmed, restructured, lean. The same employees who used to whisper during lunch now sent me spreadsheets early and stayed late without being asked. The ones who stayed believed in the future, because now there was one. I didn't stay on as CEO forever. That was never the point. But I stayed long enough to put the right systems in place, and long enough to send a clear message. If you mistake quiet for weak, you're not just wrong. You're already losing.